Hola, mi amigos y familia. Here's my weekly update. So last week's video was pretty much a nothing video because nothing happened last week. But this week, lots of something's happened. Well, is about to happen, and some things also have already happened. So as of Monday tomorrow morning at 5 a.m, quarantine is lifted here in Panama, and we will be able to go out between the hours of 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. We will not be restricted to only an hour a day, and we will not be separated on different days by gender. So we're going to be able to go out together, Caesar and I, and we're going to be able to go out not just to go to the supermarket or the pharmacy, but just to go for a walk, which is exactly what we're going to do. So we're looking forward very, very much to going out together early in the morning before it gets too hot and just exploring this area, just walking around the streets and seeing what's about. The wearing of masks apparently is mandatory, and if you do not wear them you may be fined, so we shall be wearing masks. We have bought some new ones and we're waiting for them to arrive. They have been particularly difficult to get here in Panama. I keep going to the pharmacy and asking for them. ¿Tienes mascarillas? And the answer is always no. So far I haven't been able to buy any more, and we are relying on the couple that we bought with us from Texas. Thank you very much to Caesar's mum Carmen who gave them to us. They've come in really handy. Yes, some other news. I have found via expats Facebook group a highly recommended person who gives Spanish lessons here in Panama, and so I'm going to start Spanish lessons proper on Monday. I'll have at least 2 lessons a week. I mean, I think I might need to ramp it up a bit more quickly than that. And just so you know, so I'm going to take learning Spanish very seriously. I do need to do that to be able to get around, and just as a basic respect. If I want to come and live in this country, I need to learn the language. It turns out though, for me, languages are actually really difficult. I did begin to try learning to speak Spanish some years ago. I started with the Duolingo app. Well, in the Duolingo app you have an owl, and your goal is to make your owl very happy every day. And if you do enough of your lessons and you do them well enough, your owl will be very happy. But if you don't do your lessons, or you're not doing them very well, your owl starts to get rather unhappy. My owl sadly died a rather prolonged and rather painful death because I suck at languages. I'm okay with learning some words and I'm okay with learning short phrases, but as soon as I had to try and put a longer sentence with all the little joining words in together, I just don't get it. I just couldn't get it. The grammar, the differences between English and Spanish, just I find really difficult. I'm fine with numbers. Numbers is what my head does. Languages do not do very well. So I really hope that my Spanish teacher is not going to be too disappointed in me. I'm not aiming to speak perfect Spanish, but I do need to aim to speak enough to be able to get around. I have a few words. And I really do like to try, but it's become rather apparent to me that I need to sometimes stop. I went to the supermarket. Obviously I have to go, well, had to up until as of tomorrow, had to go on my own, so I can't go with Caesar. And so I was at the supermarket and I needed to buy eggs, and I looked around and looked and looked and looked and I could not find them. And so I thought of the fantastic idea of finding one of the people who work there, and I found a young chap who worked at the supermarket, and I asked him, ¿Tienes huevos? Well, it turns out I said huevos wrong, it's huevos, don't roll the R. And so that, coming from behind my mask, I don't think he I don't know, because I don't know if he understood what I wanted, because it became immediately apparent to me that even though I can ask a simple question, even if I'd got the word right and I didn't, even if I can ask a simple question, I don't know what the answer is. He started speaking really rapid Spanish in response. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I don't know what you're saying. What's the point in asking a question if you can't understand the answer? So I need to learn Spanish. Yeah. I've also had some lessons with Caesar, and he's actually a pretty good teacher, but Caesar's Spanish is Colombian, and then he's got a Texan accent overlaid over that, and now he's got a New Zealand accent overlaid over that. So the way he enunciates his Spanish is really different and sounds super different to the Panamanians. I can kind of pick up more words and get a general gist of what Caesar and his mum are talking about with their Colombian Spanish and Caesar's Spanish, Colombian, Texan, Kiwi accent, weird accent. I can pick that up, but for the life of me, I have no idea what the Panamanian Spanish is, what they're saying, and they speak so fast. So I've also learned to say, por favor, hablas español despacio. But even if they speak slowly, I still don't know what they're saying. So I need to get the hang of the accents here if I'm going to learn to speak with people and get around. So that's exciting. I start those lessons tomorrow. So I went to the supermarket. Yes, I did get out this week, and I took my phone and videoed the little walk. And as I approached the supermarket, there are two banks I walk past, and the security guards here in Panama outside the banks have the kinds of guns that we banned in New Zealand. I mean, some of them have them, but I think these guys, they've just got the revolver on the hip. And I don't even know, I don't know anything about guns. All I know is I really don't like them, and I feel extremely uncomfortable walking around past people with bulletproof vests and guns. As a New Zealander, this is quite jarring, and it's taking me some time to get used to, so look out for that. But here's a really weird thing. The dude in front of the supermarket, the one who takes your temperature and checks my passport, he's got guns. Like, I don't know why the security guard at the supermarket has guns, but yeah, he's got guns too. So I'm like on absolute best behaviour here and feeling extremely uncomfortable, and yeah, not too keen on going to the supermarket actually, funnily enough, but here we are. Okay, so that little walk's coming up next. Obviously Caesar and I are still here, we are still healthy, we are doing fine, and we get a little bit of freedom. We're going to be very careful. We still don't know when immigration is going to open and we can file for our visas, and it's getting to the point now where we've waited so long, I am going to actually have to reapply for our police checks, because they take, thanks to the Department of Justice in New Zealand, who take the information of should be issued within 40 working days as we'll wait until the 40th working day before we do it. So I need to apply for those now, so that when our current documentation is 6 months old, the Panamanian immigration will no longer accept it. We're coming up to that point, so I need to arrange to get fresh documents, which is going to take quite a lot of time and a bunch more money. But if I get started now, we'll be organised. So yeah, I do not recommend trying to immigrate in the middle of a global pandemic. It's particularly difficult, and it takes a lot of time, and it's been a lot more costly than would otherwise have been. But here we are, and we will persist, and I'm determined we'll get there. So here's my trip to the supermarket coming up next. Bye guys.
Exiting the building and going down to the street. It's rainy season, everything's lush and green, and these trees are so beautiful. And I get to walk in the shade thanks to the huge beautiful trees. Look at their gorgeous buttressed roots and their hanging roots. And crossing the road was rather difficult, so I cut that out. It took a while. Going on down toward the supermarket. And again, look how lush and green everything is. This is a really nice part of Panama. I think it might be the nicest part of the city, like the rich bit, I guess. The power lines here are underground. Just past a lady with a dog. They trim the bottom of these trees, people, and look on the left, look at all these flowers blooming, because rainy season, everything's so just bursting with life. So gorgeous. And now we're in a bit where there's overhead power lines. And again, crossing the road, this time it was easy. Coming up to walk past the banks, and here's the guys with the guns. They always say something to me. I wish they wouldn't. I have no idea what they're saying. So I just say, no hablo español, and walk past very quickly, because guns, and I'm a Kiwi, and that's how we do that. And supermarket.